and very experienced Dr. Suranjan Bhattacharya to give his comments after listening all these things. The ex-director of CMC Vellore, please Bhattacharya, your comments. Something which to be people guide with your so much experience of the life is orthopedic surgeon plus ex-director CMC Vellore and a lot of great experience on head training and artificial hand. When I went as an examiner long ago, he took me to his rehab center and showed me all those things. And above all that, a great humble person. I really honor you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. It was a fascinating morning. I come to learn, and I agree with most of the things that you said. I think that I was interested that in the 3D gate classes, no kinetic pictures were shown. I was hoping to see some forces and moments. Only 3D kinematics was shown. So I wondered why.
I think he has the data there, but then it would have started off with trying to show people what it meant.
Yeah, because I feel that interpreting primary versus secondary effects, the kinematic data is far more valuable than the kinetic. The EMG and the kinetic data is far more important, and I found it far more useful. I've been doing data analysis.
I agree.
And so therefore, before making these decisions, I think everyone agrees that clinical decisions are the clinical examination and the serial examination is the most important step, and everyone said that, and I agree. There's nothing that can replace that. I've been doing gait analysis for a long time. I struggle with it just like anyone else. It's expensive, the government gave us money, and so we put up the lab. And this was my only step. I said that I think that the EMG and the kinetic analysis perhaps gives us more information in sorting out the primary versus the secondary or the compensatory effects. And therefore I was waiting to see the kinetic data, and I was a bit sad that didn't come up. As far as the interventions that you planned, everyone is clued in that we need to make sure that it's the activity and that will enhance participation and not just try to get advanced data. I agree with Professor Purohit that everything that we can do for spasticity early seems to be worthwhile. After the child has become 7 years old, it becomes much more difficult to just intervene with spasticity, and then that's when orthopedic surgery, particularly if it's done in a measured way, is really valuable. I completely agree that too many neuroactive lengthenings have been done in the past, and it's not good for surgery also, particularly for spastic guys. We have begun to use some EMG for upper limbs as well, but we really are novices in upper limb functional EMG and upper limb video recordings. Use it occasionally for making out biceps and brachialis, or if there's any activity in the wrist extensors when we are planning surgery. But most of the time, I found that dealing with patients patiently and listening to them and helping to fulfill their goals is far more important than anything else that we might have. So I felt for the father who said that, of what value was this gait analysis for my child.
I'm not the father of the child.
Yeah.
I just said if
you were
I'm always
So I think that often in medicine we are searching for answers, and we don't get the answer immediately. But it would be a very impoverished world if we did not search. At the same time, I'd like to balance that by saying our search must be honest. The search must not be because we have a tool. The search must be constantly to find a better solution for the patients in our world.
Bhattacharya has given of his life. And we all know as a surgeon, if you see that one, initial years we start cutting. Then we start learning when to stop. And then we learn that when to really operate. So these are the honeymoon periods which keep going on, and then we learn that yes, when we are going to. So what is another very important message which is there is that still the clinical one which is very important, and I feel that we all have to still respect in this era about the clinical patients hearing and then following them in a dynamic situation of cerebral palsy. Another message I think which we all have gone through is that science is also keep changing. So what is truth today may not be true tomorrow. But we have to be honest to ourselves at least in a perfect collection of the data. The main problem comes, and I must say in our Indian scenario, that our data are not perfect. Then how can we go for the next step of making it an information, and then next step as a knowledge too. And if we clinicians are not perfect in our this thing, it becomes suicidal to us ultimately, because then no patient will come if the results are not good. And that is what happened to one of the minister actually. When the 4 people were going in a helicopter, and then there were education minister, another was the student. Yeah, just a minute. I think that's very interesting to listen that thing. Please.
Rahul Gandhi and Narendra Modi, the President Prime Minister of India. A small child, a school-going child, and then Anil Ambani.
I'm sorry to say that. So there were the 4 people who were going. One was the education minister, another was the student, and then teacher, and the pilot. No, pilot said that our helicopter is going to get crashed and we are going to jump. Pilot said, I am possessing it. He takes one and jumps. The student says, madam, you take and jump. Madam says, no, you are the future of the country, so you take and jump. He says, no, madam, 2 are left behind. Teacher asks, how come 2 are left behind? The student says that the education minister bought my school bag and he jumped. And similarly, aviation minister, he took the helicopter in the Himalayas and up, and then he felt so much cold that he switched off the fan of the helicopter. So it can be suicidal to us if we do not know our particular field well, and that is what is the message from some of the jobs which are necessary. So I think this was a very good discussion over here, and everything is a dynamic, and I still have a problem of an gait analysis is so expensive. So I think there are some indigenous things which are also helping us. In our department of physiotherapy, they have done some kind of sensor they have put, and then they have started measuring the gait. So maybe that we may have to have some kind of indigenous things also to cut down the cost and then apply it in a more number of the patients. Any kind of other question by or comment by any one of you? Anyone? So then I think our lunch is waiting. So we all go for lunch, and earliest we come back and we will have a post-lunch session. Thank you very much to every one of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sir, please, sir.
Thanks.
And we have to repeat some movements. First of all, we have to mimic equinus. Stand on toes. This is just to make sure that everyone is awake, more is sleeping. And we come to this very interesting session.